Former World's Heavyweight Champion Jack Brisco is going to meet tough opposition in this edition of the Best of Texas Wrestling. He's going to meet the spoiler. You are going to benefit by seeing that action.
Brisco won the World's Heavyweight title here in July of 1973. He beat Harley Race, and he wants another chance at whoever holds the title. As this match is being wrestled, the champion is Harley Race. You see the spoiler, a 270-pounder, rated as the best masked man in the business, and most certainly a guy who has plenty of weight, power, and wrestling ability, but never sells Jack Brisco short. Brisco has wrestled literally all of his life. He came up through the great scholastic wrestling wars of Oklahoma. He was never defeated in grammar school and junior high and high school and college. He won the nationals. He won all the honors there were to win as an amateur, and then won all the honors there were to win as a professional when he beat Harley Race here in 1973. Brisco, however, lost the title to Terry Funk. And for a while, he literally pulled in his horns and sulked about it and didn't really go hot after the return match. But he is on the trail now of another effort to win that world title. Trying a reverse face lock, just going to lose it though. You can just see his fingers just barely making it, but he's hanging on because it is easing some of the pressure in the side headlock, but he didn't make it. If he had been able to get the restless grip with his fingers and hold it securely, he would have been able to force Spoiler into a bad effort. So Brisco tried to destroy Spoiler's balance. You saw what Spoiler did, and remember, Spoiler is managed by Gary Hart. That in itself should tell you something, but Spoiler, unlike many of the people whom Hart has managed, does not depend on Gary Hart when he steps in that ring. Hart does less physically. There you saw him steadying the bottom rope. But Hart does less physically to reinforce Spoiler than he does for any man he has ever managed. I think Spoiler sometimes resents Hart's intrusion into a match because he feels that it'll give people the feeling that perhaps he can't take care of himself. And he's taking care of himself well now. He has a well-applied side headlock. He is turning it into a sleep hold effect. But now as he gets down on his upper thigh, he is pushing the throat of Jack Brisco down tight against that thigh and trying to put him out. And he may be doing it. And it's a trick that you can cover up. It's a trick that works, and right now it's a trick that Jack Brisco is feeling to the limit. Brisco going after a Japanese arm lock as a reversal. He has managed to come out of the side headlock, and as Lubitsch went around on the far side, he may not have seen it. I don't know if he saw it. But it's still the Spoiler's edge as he moves in there to try to make it stick. There's that rotating movement of Spoiler with that big arm of his. Notice how he shortens it up. He grabs himself way just above the wrist in order to get that arm in there tight. If he was just clenching his hands with those long arms of his, he would have to be using more strength than leverage. The shortening of the arms helps the leverage, and Brisco's in trouble. Properly used, a hole like this can be a potent weapon, and I've yet to see Spoiler use an improperly used hold. And he knows how to do that too. A tough style. Jack's head's caught solidly. He is in maneuvers. He tries to get that head out of there. 5 minutes have gone by. This is the first fall. Spoiler has had the advantage. Spoiler is the guy who has gotten in there and snatched that hold. You see the musculature on the body of Jack Brisco. He is not a weightlifter. He is a man who got all of his exercise, all of his body development, and all of his muscles sheerly through wrestling.
What's the mask?
Lots of wrestlers use the weights because they maintain strength and get a change of exercise. Wrestling is a tough way to constantly roll on that mat and go after your conditioning. So you can get sick of it and tired of it. So you try to mix it up, but Brisco he likes it. You see him right now finding the exposed side of the Spoiler, and as he drops in there with that knee, he is doing more than just escaping from a headlock. He is preparing the Spoiler for trouble. Reverse chin lock. He keeps his weight in the small of the back. He heists up on the masked chin and pours it to him. So Jack Brisco swings things around and becomes the master of this particular situation. Jim Caldwell, who takes pictures for some of the national wrestling publications, here to my left, and he's the fellow you saw with the camera up in your picture, and missed that shot of the Spoiler being pushed into the turnbuckle because he had to change film, just like you and I. So Brisco's side headlock has suddenly turned against him. He's still got it, but he was jerked off balance and literally standing on his shoulders at that time. He bears down on it. And Spoiler trying to get his head out of trouble. There he is again, standing Brisco on his shoulders, but he's got a hand on the trunks to do it, and this keeps the weight of Brisco shifted around, and Gary Hart intrudes to tell referee Bronco Lubitsch that he should have counted Brisco down. Hart made a committee of one that time because the crowd here did not agree with his assessment of what was happening. And Spoiler comes out. He goes after the grip on the throat. That's where that right hand is, underneath the chin and up against the throat. And he pours it to him.
What's the count, Spoiler?
And Brisco down. You see why he's down, and you see why he's staying there. That 270 pounds that stacks up on that foot is pressing him down right on the bite by the throat. Outside, Brisco. And the Spoiler showing here why he's rated as the #1 masked man in the game, and here he is with his favorite method of flying at people. He'll go off that rope onto the floor if he feels like there's an advantage to it. He'll also do it in the ring. He's watching for Jack Brisco to return to the ring, and he Brisco was watching him too. That's why Brisco became world champion, because he watched out for things like that. Brisco's a southpaw. A left-hander as he moves in on Spoiler. We had 2 left-handed champions in a row when Jack Brisco lost to Terry Funk. Funk, too, is a left-hander. Reverse chinlock. Brisco now manages to get into position, and I think Gary Hart was more responsible for Spoiler getting out of that hole just by shifting that foot out there and causing the relaxation of it by Brisco. Found him underneath and laid it in there. Spoiler stretching a point because Lubitsch, with his count there, is going to reach the 5 if he... There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. And Spoiler is alert, watching, stretching a point in order to be able to punish Brisco. He may not have too many opportunities to punish him. And again, oh, man. 270 pounds, and he dropped there with that rope hitting him just underneath the chin, up against the throat. There he squats like some giant vulture, ready to spring and drop, and spring and drop he did. And Brisco's in trouble. Here goes the fall. There's 1. There's, wait a minute, he's got him by the trunk. But Brisco is squirming, keeping those legs moving so that he can get some leverage for a squirm. And he fell with his feet outside the ring. And again, you'll notice the Spoiler stretching the point, arguing with the referee. This is the same thing he was doing just a few moments ago on the opposite side of the ring, hanging on to that top rope, and Brisco trying to put his foot over the rope to get a break in the count, and Gary Hart tossed it off. But so Jack, either by instinct or because he's smart enough, managed to get it underneath the rope. He's after the claw, he's got the claw, and he may have the fall. And as has happened many times in Spoiler's career, he could have the match if he gets the fall through the use of the claw. He's pleased. He looked over at Hart as much as to say, I did it. And he's got Brisco sewed up in the claw hold. But for a southpaw, he's throwing a good right as well, and convincing Spoiler he's going to have to let go of that hold. And Brisco has discovered that if you move when you're in the claw hold, if you fight, if you keep the circulation still going, and here he may have got maybe down. He may lose it right here. There's 1. Trying to fight his way up from underneath. There's Brisco with all the power that's left in him, and he's going to need it. And this time, no left-handed wallop. Well, there's 1. He got that foot up there, and I thought he was going to continue, but it takes a lot to be able to get your foot up there with any driving power when you're that close. Down goes Brisco, and he comes up, and there's the leg breaker. Oh, how nicely done. And he dropped the 270 pounds of Spoiler on the knee that time, and it was perfectly timed. And here is Brisco going for the leg breaker, his favorite hold. He's got to soften him up first. trying to give him some added punishment. Here he goes for the spinning toe hold. He's got the other leg. He had it, but he never was able to cinch down on it. Japanese leg lock. He tries to turn him over. He's got him doubled up with the grip. Spoiler. In a position to quit if he wants to. You notice how heavily bandaged that right hand of his looks, but he wears a glove on that hand. He wears a protection in case he gets sweaty. Keeps him so that he can apply the hold. There's a close-up look at it. Our director, Ed Worthington, moves in close. And Spoiler looks for something to grab. And Hart is distracting the referee. He was standing up there screaming, "Don't give up, Spoiler, don't give up." So right now, the manager on the outside is saying, "He can't hurt us. Don't give up." There's Hart doing the shouting to encourage the Spoiler or distract the referee, or at least to accomplish something. And now he's arguing with the referee, and Spoiler took his cue, and he's got the claw hold again. The left hand behind the head, the right hand in front, which should do the damage, but he wasn't able from that particular angle to cinch it on very well. And Brisco finds that spot to lay in the Charlie horse producer. Here he goes for the leg breaker again. There it goes, he's got it. And Gary Hart recognizes that immediately. I don't hear him shouting not to give up right now. And Spoiler may be forced at this moment to give up on this fall. He has not yet given up, but he has come close to it by dragging the referee into it. And Brisco leans into that hold. He bends that leg, and Gary Hart just broke that hold with a free foot. And here is Brisco trying to convince Hart that that's not the way you treat a former world's champion. And he laid that knee in there, and here on top is Spoiler. And Gary Hart on the outside, pushing against the foot, trying to stack him up there. And we're going to have a disqualification on this first fall. Gary Hart, by pushing against the Spoiler's foot, caught a disqualification. And there's the argument now continuing even further.
18 minutes, 12 seconds. The winner of the first ball, Jack Brisco.
And Spoiler now starts to lay it into Brisco before there he goes, reaffirming his decision in this first fall. Brisco's the winner, but referee Bronco Lubitsch is being besieged by both Spoiler and Hart, who are arguing the point here and trying to get him to change his mind. And down goes Gary Hart, and Bronco Lubitsch being wrapped up. We've got a fall. We've got a second fall, and Spoiler here has been pinned in this second fall. And listen to the eruption from this crowd as Gary Hart is wondering what happened. And in a fit of temper and pique at being grabbed by Spoiler and shaking him. Spoiler did himself no good when he laid his grip on the referee. We've got Brisco now defending him, but I think that Bronco Lubitsch might have disqualified Spoiler for that second fall anyway, but with the interference of Jack Brisco, who came to his rescue, we've got a winner in straight falls with Jack Brisco scoring over the Spoiler. We'll be back here in a moment
Jack Brisco.
after this word from the studio.